my reaction, and I got my lovely Hooter right here, and I got the lovely Tweeted. So we about to learn about the Netherlands, man. So shout out to the Netherlands before we get started, man. Y'all know what to do at the end of the video. Let's see what kind of info we can find out.
Hey guys, so this is going to be a little awkward. Why? Because 2 years ago, my Dutch friend Vincent, who used to do the animations before I regrettably hired Ken...
Wait, what?
He came and visited here in LA. Long story short, I promised him he could be in the Netherlands episode, so we pre-shot some footage, and this was the intro we made. I flew over this guy, a real Dutchman.
He's like
say hi
orange.
to Vincent, right here. Hey, Vincent. Hey. Vincent, I know the Dutch are tall, but just step down from the box, okay?
Yeah.
Just step down.
You get off of your box then. Good Barbie.
I can never top those days. Oh, this episode is on the Netherlands.
It's time to learn geography.
Now! Everybody, I'm your host, Barbs. Now, there are many countries that deal with water issues. Some lack water, some have too much water, and some, like the Netherlands, have bridled the wild stallion and have learned how to control the water and use it to their advantage. Water is probably the most powerful element in the Netherlands, and without it, they would be, I don't know, pretty useless. So what do you say, 2016 Vincent?
En dan nu, politieke geografie.
So, yeah, stop calling this place Holland. That's just one part of the country. Even
Oh,
though the
wow.
country's national tourism website is called Holland.com.
Yeah.
You're not helping us here, Dutchies. Oh, and hey, there's a town called The Hulk. First of all, the
Really?
country's
The Hulk.
located in northwestern Europe along the North Sea, bordered by Germany and Belgium. The country is divided into 12 provinces. Here's 2016 Vincent.
I had no idea that it was that close to Germany and Belgium like that. But you see, it's at
That's pretty large. 12?
12 provinces.
Yeah.
It look like the maps for the Hunger Games right there.
North Sea, bordered by Germany and Belgium. The country is divided into 12 provinces. Here's 2016 Vincent naming all of them for you.
They are Limburg, Noord-Holland, Zeeland, Zuid-Holland, Utrecht, Gelderland, Overijssel, Drenthe, Groningen, Friesland, North-Holland, and the newest province, Flevoland. Almost all of Flevoland was reclaimed from the Zuiderzee in the 1950s. So
Oh.
besides being famous for making cheese and clogs, we also make our own land.
The country kind of has two capitals. Amsterdam, the
All
largest
right,
city in
yeah.
economic...
Oh, that's where Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
All right. We got to do one on Amsterdam
Yeah.
if possible. I always wanted to go there. Plus, they like filmed a lot of the Power Ranger seasons over there too.
hub of the country and home to the Royal Palace. And just to skip over, the third largest city, The Hague, acts as the second capital, which holds the seat of government, as well as the International Court of Justice. The second largest city, though, would be Rotterdam, which holds the busiest seaport in all of Europe. The busiest airport, though, is of course Amsterdam's Schiphol International, Europe's third busiest airport, carrying nearly 70 million passengers annually. Now
Wow.
we reach the overseas territories. Apart from the mainland European part, the country actually holds sovereignty over 6 other island entities in the Caribbean, remnants of the colonial past. These are collectively called the Dutch Caribbean. And here's where it gets a little confusing.
Wait a
Technically, the
minute.
Netherlands...
the Dutch Caribbean,
Look, 6 islands.
6 islands.
Islands be far out. Nobody gonna really go there.
Yeah, but they call it the Dutch Caribbean, and then America has a Caribbean.
Mm.
So why do you call them like what does like Caribbean? I might be thinking too much.
These are collectively called the Dutch Caribbean. And here's where it gets a little confusing. Technically, the Netherlands is a country made up of 4 countries. The mainland Netherlands, as well as 3 other constituent countries. Kind of like what Wales and Scotland are to the UK. They are
Right.
Aruba, Curacao, and St. Martin, which is actually half of an island shared with the French overseas territory of the same name, but in French. This means that this one island is the only area which the Netherlands technically borders France. These guys hold a
Oh.
high level of autonomy. They can have their own constitutions and currency. Otherwise, the remaining 3 islands are Bonaire, St. Eustatius, and Little Saba, which, by the way, has the shortest airport runway in the world.
Wow,
Wow.
that is not a long runway at all.
It's
That's
super.
but look at the landscape. Like it's like it like sits on like a mountain. You know they say in the old world mountains are technically like tree stumps. I don't know how true that is, but they said that's what they said.
These three fall under the title of special municipalities and do not belong to any province. They are directly controlled by the Dutch government. However, in 2011, they decided to switch currencies and adopt the US dollar. All these islands lie in the subregion known as the Lesser Antilles.
I wonder why
Aruba,
they did
Curacao,
that.
and Bonaire are usually referred to as the ABC Islands, lying in the subregion of the Leeward Antilles, whereas St. Eustatius, Saba, and St. Martin, usually called the SSS Islands, are located in the subregion of the Leeward Islands. Keep in mind, at one point, all 6 of these islands were called the Netherland Antilles and operated collectively as a single constituent country with the capital at Willemstad in Curacao.
Why do they call it the if y'all can answer that, why do they call it the what does Antilles mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even competed separately in the Olympics. With the exception of Aruba, who had autonomy in 1986, it wasn't until the early 2000s when they all voted for their future.
Aruba
and it
has
kind of
like
went
a-
like this. Okay guys, you have 4 options for your future. Choose wisely. You can have closer ties to us, remain just as you are in the Netherland Antilles, autonomy as a constituent country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, or you can opt for complete independence as a new nation and break away from us.
We vote for autonomy as constituent countries.
Me too.
What the? We want closer ties and we'll settle for special municipality status.
Really, Bonaire? You're one of us, the ABC Islands. You're really gonna ditch us like that and leave us with this half-Frenchy magoo?
Yep, deal with it. And that's basically how it went down. So there you go. That's how you make...
So what? I wonder if like those countries made that same decision because they have like treaties together or something like that. Because sometimes, you know, government officials and stuff, they be in league with each other. So I wonder why, why wouldn't they go for complete independence?
Make a Netherlands. Waterways dominate the country though. There's even a town with no roads and only canals. But
Wow.
how did it end up this way? Somewhere around the 9th century, people were kind of fed up with all the flooding, and they invented these seawalls known as dikes, which surrounded polders or reclaimed land plots
Dikes.
protected by the dikes. To this day, the Netherlands has reclaimed about 1/5 of its total landmass from the sea.
So, what would happen if all the dikes were destroyed and all the water just came and flooded everything?
Okay.
Scientists speculate that the country would go from looking like this to this.
Whoa,
Ooh.
Amsterdam would be gone.
Yep. Luckily, the Dutch are fantastic engineers and have been taming this dragon for centuries. And speaking of engineering, there are so many notable spots to check out in case you ever visit. So
Looks
many
beautiful.
museums, but the most notable one probably being the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam,
Ooh.
the Royal Palace, the Van Gogh Museum, the Anne Frank House, numerous castles
wouldn't mind
like
going to Anne
these,
Frank
numerous
House.
star-shaped fortress towns, so many amusement parks like these, the enclaves and exclaves of Barrel Nassau. We talked about this in the Belgium episode. The world's largest flower
Like, I just want to give a shout out to the architecture.
Oh, for taking.
Yeah. Like the architecture is so like distinct, you know. It seems like they held true to, like, you know how America like tear downs like monuments and houses and land masses and stuff. Like it seemed like they stayed true to their roots there. You know what I'm saying? So they may build new buildings and stuff like that, but the architecture still like kind of, you know, is relates to each other, I guess. You know.
Flower Garden at Keukenhof, Austerlitz Pyramid, this prehistoric burial site, and of course there are somewhere around 1,000 historic windmills left in the country from the
Ooh,
1800s,
windmills.
mostly in the Kinderdijk area, a UNESCO heritage site. Keep in mind though, the country has a ton of modern wind turbines that help supply energy to the nation, a topic that will be discussed in...
Please tell me how
Greek
turbines do
philosopher
that.
Pythias visited in the 3rd century BC, and he said about this place, more people have died in the struggle against water than in the struggle against men. The
Whoa.
Netherlands is really unlike any other country in Europe because in order for them to even have physical land, a lot of work has to go into it. For one, the country is the lowest country in Europe, elevation-wise. Over a
Right.
quarter of the land and 1/5 of the population lies below sea level, and about half of the land...
But you know what? That's what they say about Florida.
Yeah, possibly.
Florida is like below sea, like not the entire state, but like I think from like Central Florida on down, like below sea level.
land lies less than a meter above sea level. The lowest point
Whoa.
actually being here at Zuidplaspolder.
So they
and the
gotta
highest point
do
of
a
the
lot of
mainland
work
European
to
part of the
just
country
keep the
at a small hill called
land
Valseburg,
present.
just over 1,000 feet or 322 meters high. However,
Oh,
in the
man, I
entire
can't
kingdom
imagine,
of the
like,
Netherlands, the
typhoon
highest
season
point would
for them,
actually
you
be
know?
Mount Scenery, a potentially active volcano on the island of Saba in the Caribbean. Back to mainland Europe though. Within this complex system of waterways and canals, the famous Rhine River that goes through all of Europe and the longest in the country actually ends in Rotterdam. The largest body of water would be Lake or Bay Ijsselmeer Casimir, contained within the N302 and E22 highways. In order to manage all the flooding in the south, though, the Netherlands has undergone one of the largest engineering projects in modern history. The Delta Works is a series of massive elevated levees that close off sea estuaries, preventing flooding. They even have backup levees in case one down the line bursts.
So,
in the
so
north,
kind of
though,
like
the Walden Islands act.
So kind of like the same levees that's like supposed to protect New Orleans from flooding. Yeah.
It's kind of like natural barriers against the sea. All this land reclamation has left many of the inland areas exposed to what are labeled as the largest open sand drifts in Europe. Keep in mind, they are not deserts, but rather strange, wet, sandy plots in the middle of green shrubbery. A rare natural sight to come across anywhere in the world. So in a nutshell, the entire country is basically one big river delta.
We should hang out sometime.
Whew, so that's just about it for now. I gotta get my triple shot of espresso break, which means we need a guy who knows a few things.
Oh, that's corny.
Besides all the water chaos, Netherlands is quite a powerful nation considering its size. They rank in the top 20 largest world economies, usually around 17th or 16th place, and they rank somewhere in the top 5 to 10 largest exporters on Earth. In fact, they have the oldest stock exchange in the world, dating back to 1602.
Didn't that lead to like the whole tulip mania thing where people sold a single bulb for the price of like an entire ship?
That was not the stock market. That was just a socioeconomic phenomenon, and at its height sold for 10 times the annual wage of a skilled craftsman. Anyway, today, although they produce about 80% of the world's tulips and over half of the world's cut flower exports, their economy is mostly driven by the service and energy sectors. After the discovery of a natural gas field in 1959, the Dutch became a fuel powerhouse. The Shell company became the largest and most internationally recognized Dutch company in the world. Besides the petroleum industry, though, the Dutch are well known for their electronics and tech innovation. The company Philips invented the audio tape, which helped pioneer other formats like videotapes, CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays.
Yeah, the company was Dutch, but keep in mind it was invented in Hasselt, Belgium.
Oh, Belgium. We love you, but don't try to take this from us.
Otherwise, the Dutch have made great
that.
strides towards
So
environment.
them same Philips tapes that we used to record over. Yeah. That's cool. Shell's gas station. Man, it's crazy. Like what you can find out if you just look for it.
Environmental protection. It's not uncommon to find animal crossing bridges to allow wildlife to cross over highways. Over 70 mammal species exist here, such as hares, hedgehogs, stoats, and deer. In addition, according to their government website, they produce over 65 billion euros in vegetable, fruit, flour, meat, and dairy products. Speaking of which, the modern orange-colored carrot was originally bred orange here in the Netherlands to specifically honor the king. Since then, orange carrots are now kind of an international staple. And speaking of which, food! Some top notable dishes you guys, the Dutch geography peeps, suggestively mentioned include things like...
Alright, so this for the chat. So right here, let me know what all that food is, because the ones in the top right look like poofy chicken nuggets. So just, I ain't trying to... poof nuggets, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. That look like a... Yeah, that look like a pie on the bot. Well, is that a pie? A souffle? No, don't. Stop.
Don't play if you don't mind.
Don't pay attention to Sweetie.
Various types of stampots, Dutch pancakes with powdered sugar, apple tarts, bitterballen, split pea soup, rookworst, stroopwafels. So many potato dishes, brined herring and smoked eel. Gin was invented here. Sorry, Brits. For breakfast, chocolate sprinkles on toast is common. And the pride and joy of the nation.
Matter of fact, let me go back.
Pot, Dutch pancakes with powdered sugar, apple tarts, bitterballen, split pea soup, rookworst, stroopwafels. So many potato dishes, brined herring and
smoked eel. Why does the smoked eel look like string beans?
So that's what it looked like over there.
Yo, that's the brined herring.
Oh,
that's smoked eel.
Well, you know they are like skinny in the water.
Right.
Like.
Smoked eel. Gin was invented here. Sorry, Brits. For breakfast, chocolate sprinkles on toast is common. Nice. And the pride and joy of the nation, Gouda cheese. Yep, that's how you pronounce it, guys.
Gouda?
And keep in mind, they
so
used
we've
to
been
be the
pronouncing
largest beer
it wrong.
exporters in the world. Heineken
Gouda?
being their top brand.
Oh, wow. Cool.
It's also important to note that you will probably find lots of Indonesian and Surinamese dishes like satay or salted cod buns. A little cultural hue that hints towards the colonial past, which brings us to...
Thank you, Noah. Follow him on Instagram.
Yep. Okay,
that just happened. Now, in Europe, you have all different types of people that operate with all different customs and ideologies. Here, they
Right.
have two sayings that kind of sum up how a lot of their country operates. Meten is weten, and gezelligheid kent geen tijd. How was that, Dutchies? Terrible?
Coziness
Good?
knows no
Well, you're gonna get
time.
what I give. Anyway, the country has about 17.5 million people and is the most densely populated nation in Europe. About
Sounds like it.
77% of the population identifies as Dutch, to whatever extent that may mean, whereas 10% are other Europeans, and the remainder are made up of other people groups, mostly Turks, Indonesians, as well as the Surinamese, and surprisingly, even some Americans. They use the euro as their currency, they use the type C and F plug outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. Now,
Right.
we all know that Dutch is the official language of the Netherlands. However, if you speak English, you should have no problem at all visiting. Netherlands has the highest proficiency in English out of any non-English official country in the world. Somewhere around 9 out of 10 Dutch people claim they can comfortably speak English, and around 94% of the country is in some way bilingual. Geography Anna told me a joke. Many times Dutch kids will ask their parents,
Hey, Mom.
Yes, honey.
Why do we have to learn English, but the British don't have to learn Dutch?
Because our ancestors decided it would be a great idea to trade New York for Suriname and one small island in Indonesia.
It's important to note, though, that there
That
are two
wasn't
other
funny.
regional languages
Did
except
I not get it? Did we not get it?
Suriname and one small island in Indonesia.
It's important to note, though, that there are two other regional languages accepted in Dutch society. They are Frisian, spoken in the northern Friesland region, and the other being Papiamento, a Dutch Creole spoken in the ABC Islands. When it's already kind of well known that the Dutch are the tallest people on average in the world, men
Really?
averaging around 6'1" and women around 5'7". And once again,
Wow.
here's 2016
Why is
Vincent
that?
explaining.
Latest studies have shown that natural selection has been the biggest reason. Being tall is equal to being more athletic, successful, and healthy. Many
Makes
educated
sense.
men start families after their studies. Fast forward a couple of years, with length being very heritable, and the result is a nation of giants. Yeah, we're outbreeding short people.
Religion in the Netherlands is interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it is interesting.
So if you just tall, period, you just seen as more attractive and more
Very interesting.
yeah, that's very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no prejudice there.
And
but-
the result is a nation of giants. Yeah, we're outbreeding short people.
Religion in the Netherlands is interesting because historically they used to be predominantly Christian, mostly Protestant, but today about half the population identifies as unaffiliated, which depending on who you ask could be anything from the largest unaffiliated group,
Agnostic, yeah.
agnostics,
Normally,
at about
that's what
34%,
happens.
to the growing number of eiatists at around 28%, which is kind of like a technical term for spiritual but not religious. Otherwise, Islam at about 5% of the population is mostly practiced by Turkish and Indonesian communities. Christianity, although not practiced regularly by most of the people, still plays a heavy cultural role in the Netherlands. Holidays like Christmas, Easter, Pentecost, and Ascension are still celebrated by everyone in a Dutch manner. At one point, they were a vast empire that spanned across every inhabited continent. Australia was at one point called New Holland, New Zealand, named after the Zeeland province, Tasmania, named after this Dutch guy, New York was once called New Amsterdam, and so on. Otherwise, what is the Dutch way of doing things? Many of you guys, the Dutch geography peeps, have told me there's a Dutch saying, act normal, which is ironic considering that they are almost anything but normal. And
Right.
here's random Hannah to explain culture stuff.
Historically, the Dutch have always kind of had a counter-traditional mindset that shaped the way they developed as a nation. For one, they are one of the few remaining monarchies left in the world, technically a unitary parliamentary constitutional monarchy that limits the royal powers. And the people generally
okay.
like their
That's
king.
good.
He even has a holiday to himself, and the entire country wears the national color of orange. Of course, the country is known for being
Go
a
Tennessee
frontrunner in
Volunteers.
passing what many in the world see as controversial laws. They were the first country to legalize same-sex marriage. They have regulated legal prostitution, euthanasia, and they have a
Legal
policy of tolerance
prostitution?
toward recreational soft drugs like
You don't
marijuana.
have
People
to
18
put
years
on the red lights. Boop, boop, boop.
older are allowed up to 5 grams on them, otherwise it's a misdemeanor. They are world-renowned for excelling in field hockey, speed skating, and volleyball teams. Sailing
gonna
is,
lie,
of
they
course,
do
one of
be
their
tall out
longest
there.
pastimes. They even have a huge festival once every 5 years called the Sailed Amsterdam Festival. For some reason, it's common for people to give birth in their own homes as opposed to a hospital. About 1/3 of all babies are born this way.
What about those clog things?
Ah,
Yeah,
yes.
me too.
When the
I was
past,
wondering
they
about
actually
that.
served a very useful purpose. They were worn by farmers, fishermen and artisans in the past to protect their feet from nails, fish hooks, and other sharp objects.
Makes
Today,
sense.
they are mostly sold as souvenirs, and very few people actually wear them, but they're pretty cool.
Oh, and hey Anna, what's up with all those spinny windmill thingy mabobbers?
Ah, yes, the iconic symbol of the Netherlands. Well,
Right.
many of these historic windmills were actually used to pump out excess water to reclaim the land they now use for farming, all before electricity.
Interesting.
And as for
I didn't know they
music,
could do that.
Actually, I got this one. Barb said I could have my own segment in the show now instead of just being a one-liner guy.
Yeah, that's right. Keith has been upgraded, so yeah.
Oh, well, enjoy it.
Well, that just happened. Again, I guess everybody has superpowers now.
Historically speaking, the Dutch contributed much to the Baroque period at the end of the Renaissance, with numerous composers, organ players, and vocalists rooted in Christianity. Traditional clog dancing was also a cool way to add percussion
So
to
that's
folk
where they
music
get
in
that.
rural areas. Today,
didn't
however,
know-
even though there are many genres the Dutch enjoy, electronic music reigns supreme. Most
Yeah,
of the best
yeah.
well-known DJs in the
Yep.
EDM scene across
everybody.
the world
Tiesto,
are from the
Showtek,
Netherlands.
Hardwell.
And the Amsterdam Dance
Man,
Event,
I heard all
is
them,
the
man.
world's top
Them
and
jokers.
largest electronic music conference.
I didn't
so
know
if
they
you come
was
out here,
from
get ready to get shocked with
Netherlands.
some musical electricity.
Thank you, Keith. And speaking of the development of the Netherlands over time, let's talk about history in the quickest way I can put it. Hamburg and Bronze Age cultures, Iron Age with Celt and Germanic groups, Gallic Wars, the Romans come in, Frankish kingdoms, Charlemagne, blah blah blah. Friesland once had a Viking ruler, Lotharingia, Holy Roman Empire, confusing Burgundian and Spanish Habsburg and city-states, the Spanish takeover, Dutch revolt, 80 years of war against Spain, this dude is a hero, Golden Age and stock market, Dutch East India Company, exploring years, Dutch Empire, Napoleon drama, Belgium breaks away, Luxembourg breaks away, World War I, relatively neutral, World War II, attacked by Germans, not neutral, decolonialism after the war, mining golden age, founding co-members of the European coal and steel community, which would later become the EU, government encourages over 500,000 people to move out, Euro adopted, and here we are today. Some notable people you guys, the Dutch geography suggest we mention, might include people like William of Orange, the first king, Mike.
I wonder why they did do that. Why did they adopt the U.S. dollar? Was that because of World War I or II? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, do y'all
Let us know in the
about that?
comments.
'Cause
Yeah.
very
You guys, the Dutch geography suggest we mention might include people like William of Orange, the first king, Michael de Ruyter, possibly the most famous painters, Vincent van Gogh and Rembrandt, Antony van Leeuwenhoek, Willem Barents, Abel Tasman, Anne Frank, Max Verstappen, Glennis Grace, Dick Bruna, these soccer players, these skaters, and of course the royal family. And of course there's so many others I could have mentioned. Of course I butchered all the pronunciations, but we're really running out of time and we gotta finish this marathon. So without further ado, let's see who the Netherlands hangs out with. Now, there's a reason why it's called going Dutch when paying for a meal. The Netherlands likes to share. Systematic and mathematically equivalent to what is owed to each based on the merit they've earned. First of all, pretty much all the former colonies have some kind of amicable relation to the Netherlands. The Afrikaans language in South Africa is basically just an Africanized version of Dutch. Tons of Surinamese and Indonesians have been migrating to the Netherlands for decades. Otherwise, the USA and Canada are very close friends as well. During World War II, the royal family actually took refuge in Canada, and Canada actually quickly changed the law in which the hospital was temporarily considered extraterritorial so that the princess could be born Dutch. To this day, the Netherlands sends tons of flowers every year in gratitude. For the US, the two go way back all the way to New Amsterdam before it was New York. The Dutch have immigrated to the US for centuries. 5 American presidents have been of Dutch descent. They are each other's third largest direct foreign investors. They are both charter members of NATO since 1949. And overall, in most global affairs, the two usually work together as close allies. With Germany, it's like a funny love-hate relationship. Like the two share so much historically, both being under the same influences like the Western Roman Empire, the Franks, and even their first king, William of Orange, belonged to a German royal house. Then again, World War II was kind of like a jerk move, and the Dutch never really forgot about it. But nonetheless, they've moved on, and today things are fine. Germany is their largest trading partner, both in imports and exports. Many Germans and Dutch cross over.
I think we got our answer. That's why they adopted the U.S. dollar. Because remember he said like they was close.
Yeah.
Like, you know, normally they work together. So I'm figuring that there's probably some intermingling of like families.
Yeah.
You know,
so
so
like, okay.
yeah.
visit, study, live, and have families with each other's countries. When it comes to their best friend, however, almost every single Dutch person I have talked to has said their little brother they love picking fun on and calling stupid, Belgium. Or at least specifically the northern Flanders region of Belgium where the Dutch speakers are. And many see the Flanders region as just an extension of the Dutch realm. The royal families love each other. King William Alexander even bestowed the Knight Grand Cross to King Philip and his wife. Flemish and Dutch people have been intermarrying and cooperating side by side since the beginning. And even after Belgium's independence, they've still clung on as the only two Dutch official speaking nations in Europe. And even then, Belgium is only half Dutch speaking, so they really can't afford to sever ties. In conclusion, the lowest nation in Europe with the tallest people on earth, and with centuries of discovery, invention, innovation, and tradition, it's no wonder why the Dutch say they keep their heads above water. Stay tuned, New Zealand is coming up next. So once again, Vincent, thank you so much for being in this episode. Our favorite Dutchman, you have made your country proud.
Dutch punch!
You enjoy that, sweetie?
I enjoyed it. I learned something.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna definitely do more of these. Didn't know a lot. I mean, it was going kind of fast, so I was able to just only digest a little. Well, not a little bit, but just depends on whatever surprised me. I think one thing I was surprised about was how below sea level it is. You know.
Yeah.
It's a reason why it looks like that. So I was like, okay, you know, they just been working hard to try to keep it from flooding. But man, I mean, do y'all ever have like typhoons or anything come through there? What else? I can't remember why why do Indonesian people go there a lot. I did come across some information a long time ago about why, but I can't remember.
I was shocked at it.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
I mean, when they talk about how closely in relation that the countries are with America, it's really no surprise that some Americans are there. That the Dutch, you know, are mostly bilingual. Like if we was to go visit, we wouldn't have an issue.
Yeah.
You know. So you want to jump on camera?
That's Levi.
That's
guys.
Levi, everybody.
Levi likes the attention.
Levi wants some attention, y'all.
Hi, Levi.
Hey, Levi.
He just hopped on.
Yeah, he just hopped up. All right, you guys. Man, let us know in the comment section which one to do next. I got a lot of Filipinos in my on my channel, so I figured I'd do the Philippines next. You want to do Philippines? You want to go to Philippines?
I want to go to Philippines.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, make sure you guys hit the comment section, man. Hit the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'm definitely going to be doing more of this as we explore the world with music. So catch y'all later. Peace. Go! He's all infinite, all omnipotent, plus authentic, always picking us up, not remembering once. Us all into our lust, falling victim and crushed. Gods against the corrupt garbage. Pardon, I'll never forget the Lord's promise. I'm leveling up, improving that gear. Augment, darkness, ain't never seen this light before. He's the eye of the storm, quiet and calm, and wide.